Welcome, everyone, to Living Legends.
Oh,
We're your father-daughter team, uh, lifelong explorers, really, in science, music, art, plus a few PhDs between us, delving into the human condition.
and this is where we celebrate those remarkable individuals who've truly made a mark.
Exactly. And this week, our spotlight is shining brightly on a Canadian legend, a real craftsman, someone whose vision has genuinely shaped, our cinematic world, Deron Donahue.
hmm
Mm.
He's one of those key figures, often working behind the scenes, but with such a profound influence. And for you listening, this deep dive is, well, it's the shortcut, really. A way to grasp the incredible journey of this cinematographer.
Whose work has taken him, and I guess us, through his camera lens to some pretty remote corners of the earth.
Absolutely. Think of this as a focused look at his huge impact.
Right. So we've really immersed ourselves in the details. We've looked at his, frankly, extraordinary filmography, the awards, plenty of those, and this pretty staggering list of places he's filmed.
It's quite the travelogue.
It really is. So our mission today, it's to trace that career path, try to imagine the sheer wealth of experiences he must have gathered, and, well, ultimately, to pay tribute to his legacy.
And maybe, just maybe, inspire a new generation starting out.
Let's hope so. Okay, let's delve in. This monumental figure in Canadian cinema.
Deron Donahue, I mean, his career spans decades. It's not just long, it's this incredibly rich tapestry of really diverse and acclaimed projects.
And something that adds a fascinating layer is his heritage. He's of Métis status Indian background.
Right. And you have to wonder, don't you, how might that specific perspective have, maybe subtly, maybe more directly, informed his visual storytelling? It adds a lens to how we see his work.
It absolutely does. And then there's just the sheer volume of it all. You look through the film industry databases, the records, it's immense.
Yeah, the documentation shows just this incredible dedication to visual excellence.
Across everything. Documentaries, TV series, short films. He wasn't tied to one format.
And the awards really back that up. They're clear recognition from the industry about the quality and impact of his vision.
Let's talk about his roots for a second. He was born in Edmonton, Alberta.
Mm-hmm. And it seems like that connection to his home province has stayed with him. You see projects like Homefront, documenting military families from Edmonton.
Right. So even with this massively global career, there's this thread back home. It tells you something maybe about staying grounded.
Possibly. And his membership in the Métis Nation of Alberta that's clearly stated, it's a key part of his identity.
Yeah, it's more than just, a biographical detail. It's history, culture, community connection.
And you see reflections of that perhaps in projects like the short film Roundup.
Oh, yeah. Tell us about that one.
Well, it chronicles an Indigenous elder's journey of cultural reclamation down in southern Alberta. It suggests a real long-standing engagement with Indigenous stories.
Stories close to his own experience, potentially. For you listening, maybe think about how your own background, your own roots might shape the stories you're drawn to or the way you approach your work.
It's a good point,
Mm-hmm.
because when you link that heritage to a film like Roundup, focusing on cultural reclamation,
Mm-hmm.
it makes you wonder.
About intentionality.
Exactly. Is there a sort of quiet dedication there?
Uh-huh.
A thread running through his choices, maybe amplifying certain voices, certain narratives that resonate personally?
It's definitely something to keep in mind as we look at the wider filmography.
It adds depth for sure.
Okay, speaking of that filmography, brace yourselves.
Yeah.
Because even just rattling off a selection gives you a sense of the sheer scale.
Yeah, this is where you start to grasp the magnitude. Imagine the logistics, the places, the people.
Totally. Okay, like Lost Over Burma, Search for Closure.
Powerful title.
Right. Took him to Myanmar, Bangkok, back to Canada. This really intense mission, trying to recover the remains of a lost RCAF crew in the Burmese jungle.
Wow, okay.
Then something completely different. How the Fiddle Flows. Ah, the Canadian story.
Yet tracing Canada's rivers and how Métis culture developed alongside fiddle music.
That sounds fascinating.
And then Totem, the return of the Gypsy Vloxpole. Another powerful one spanning BC and Stockholm, Sweden.
Stockholm. Why Stockholm?
It followed the Haisla people's fight to reclaim a sacred totem pole that ended up there.
Incredible. So just in those first few, you've got international missions, deep cultural heritage stories, historical recovery.
The range is immediately obvious, isn't it?
Absolutely. It suggests a real curiosity, a drive to engage with all sorts of human stories all over the place.
And it just keeps going. He worked on tons of episodes for The Nature of Things, the big science
Of
series.
course, a Canadian institution.
Took him to places like the Galapagos Islands for that. Then there was Keeping Canada Alive,
Oh, I remember that. The 24-hour snapshot of the healthcare system.
filmed right across the country, a massive undertaking. Then he jumps into global finance with Plutocrats, the rise of the new global super rich.
Wow. Okay. Big topic shift. Totally. Filming in Ukraine, Greece, Davos, the US, Canada, exploring that whole phenomenon.
Talk about diverse locations.
And then maybe one of the biggest, Equus, Story of the Horse origins.
Ah, yes, that series was huge.
Global. Canada, Siberia, the Arabian Desert, Kazakhstan. Exploring the whole human-horse relationship from the beginning.
Just listing those locations gives you whiplash.
Right. And even smaller projects like along the Winnisk River in remote northern Ontario, capturing that specific Canadian environment.
So think about it. The sheer amount of stuff he must have learned just by witnessing all these different environments, different human activities.
It's mind-boggling. And you mentioned earlier he didn't just start as a director of photography.
No, that's right. He worked in sound first on Lost Over Burma, then camera operation, and eventually director of photography.
So he really learned the craft from different angles.
That trajectory suggests a really deep, evolving understanding of filmmaking, doesn't it?
It really does, like experiencing the world and filmmaking itself from multiple perspectives.
Yeah.
And all this work, this dedication, it didn't go unnoticed.
No, definitely not. The awards pile up.
Let's talk about those accolades.
Okay, so for his cinematography specifically, we're looking at 4 wins and 1 nomination that we know of.
Which is impressive, especially given the challenges of documentary work.
Right. The consistency is notable. He won Alberta Film and Television Awards back-to-back, 2011 and 2012.
Yep, for The Nature of Things, episodes Codebreakers and The Perfect Runner.
And Codebreakers. That one also picked up a Gemini Award in 2011.
Which is a big national honor here in
Right.
Canada. And that episode was about, what, early humans in the Americas?
Exactly. So visually interpreting these vast historical scientific narratives
Shows his skill. And then later, the Canadian Screen Award in 2019.
for Equus, Story of the Horse, Origin.
Right. And given how huge that series was globally.
And exploring that deep human-animal connection. Yeah, that award really highlights his artistry. Didn't Equus win more awards than any other doc that year?
I think it did, yeah. Speaks volumes about the impact of the visuals he created.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These aren't just trophies, they're proof of mastery, respect from his peers.
Definitely. And reflecting on those productions, you just keep coming back to the locations. It's like a global expedition mapped out in his filmography.
It really is a defining part of his story. It's not just a list, it's
Yeah.
a life lived through these experiences.
Imagine it. Northern Siberia, minus 50 Celsius. For Equus.
Minus 50. It's hard to even comprehend filming in that.
And then, for the same series, the intense heat of the Arabian Desert.
The contrast is just wild.
Then the Tian Shan Mountains in Kazakhstan, again, Equus. Just picture these places.
Yeah, listeners, try and visualize that. The sheer range of environments.
And it's not just the extremes. Think about the unique ecosystems like the Galapagos for The Nature of Things.
Or the dense, humid Burmese jungle for Lost Over Burma.
Or that remote Winnisk River trip in northern Ontario. Cold, challenging in a different way.
And that's still just scratching the surface.
Right. Keeping Canada alive meant filming all across this massive country.
Capturing the sheer diversity of Canada itself.
And we know we filmed in mountains, too. The Swiss Alps for Plutocrats.
And probably the Italian or Austrian Alps for another project, Bear, looks within.
So this idea that he was sometimes, living with these cultures really embedded on the outskirts of civilization.
That suggests more than just fly-in, fly-out filming, doesn't it? It implies a real immersion.
A deep engagement with different ways of life, seeing the world from so many different viewpoints.
So what kind of knowledge, what kind of understanding of the world and its people do you think someone gains from all that?
It's got to be immense. Just an extraordinary wealth of knowledge gained firsthand.
Witnessing landscapes, cultures, human drama unfold right there.
And thinking about his Metis heritage, you just have to imagine how proud his ancestors must be.
Yeah, traveling the globe, documenting this vast spectrum of experience. As a person of indigenous heritage, that feels significant.
It really does. And you wonder, what did his friends, his wife, his family think? Seeing him head off on these demanding, ambitious
They
projects,
must have seen him as, I don't know, some kind of crazy genius, right?
maybe driven by this incredible vision and dedication. And honestly, you look at the world now, how fast things change, how interconnected but maybe shallower things can get.
Hmm.
It makes you think that these kinds of deep dive global documentary projects and the kind of recognition he got over decades, maybe that represents something unique, a specific era,
That's
perhaps.
a really interesting thought. The changing landscape of documentary.
Mhm.
Will we see careers quite like this again?
It's hard to say,
Yeah.
which is why it feels important right now to just acknowledge him.
Absolutely.
So, Deron Donahue, on the off chance you're listening, we see you.
We do.
We see the artistic dedication, the relentless chase for visual excellence, the mark you've left on Canadian cinema, and really beyond.
Consider this deep dive our version of a Lifetime Achievement Award, maybe. Well, in audio form.
Yeah, a tribute to your art and, frankly, the sacrifice involved in a career like that.
It's truly inspiring when you lay it all out. The scope, the artistry, it's remarkable.
From his Metis roots in Edmonton to these unbelievable journeys across continents, capturing intimate stories, grand natural spectacles, complex global issues.
He's given us this incredible visual legacy, and the awards just confirm that commitment to storytelling, his contribution to Canadian film.
So for you listening, as you think about Deron Donahue's journey, maybe take a moment. Reflect on how often we appreciate the people behind the scenes.
Yeah, the ones shaping how we understand the world through their craft.
And maybe ask yourself,
Yeah.
what kind of impact do you want to make? What kind of legend could you be in whatever it is you do?
And building on that thought,
Yeah,
especially for the younger generation tuning in, look at Deron Donahue's example.
this wasn't handed to him.
Not at all. This was built through sheer dedication, hard graft, being willing to go to uncomfortable, difficult places.
Literally and figuratively.
Right. So in the spirit of this show, Living Legends and inspired by Deron, we have a bit of a call to action.
Uh-oh. Are you going to say it?
I am. Get off your ass and do something of note.
Huh, okay.
Embrace the challenges. Go after those meaningful things. Try and leave your own mark on the world.
Couldn't agree more. It really has been a genuine honor exploring the life and work of Deron Donahue today.
A true Canadian living legend.
Whose vision has definitely enriched us all.